Hello, welcome to Flourish ICT Academy. In this lesson today, I want to show you how to print like a pro in Microsoft Excel. It's very important to know how to print in Excel because printing in Excel is different from printing in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, for example. If you don't have the skill, there is no way you are not going to waste paper. You are going to waste time, you are going to waste resources. This is what has happened to me before, so I don't want to actually to fall into the same trap before I know about it and then able to teach it. So I want you to follow this lesson word from the beginning now to the end of this lesson. It's going to be a great blessing to you. Now, if you are going to print in Microsoft Excel, like I said, in this training today, I will be using this data set that you have on the screen. For example, for our printing, that is what you are going to be using. I don't know the size of the data that you might want to print, like my data that we have on the screen right now. As you can see, it has how many columns? Column A to J. That's about 10 columns that this cell is having right now, this data set that we are going to be using. So yours might just be 2 columns, it might be 3 columns, maybe A to C column, and then irrespective of the number of rows, the same rule apply to all. Okay, so that is exactly what we are going to be using. So check your data. If what you are printing is different, it does not matter. The same rule apply to all. Now, in order to start, you remember to print in any application. We have the shortcut key, which is Control P, Control on your keyboard plus letter P. If you press it together, then you're going to have the printing dialog box text that will come up. Or you go straight to File. If I click on the file, okay, then you come over to print. If you click on print, the same thing, you are going to have the printing dialog box that will come out. Now let's quickly look at this screen very well. If I go ahead and click on print right now, either to PDF or to my printer, I'm going to waste a lot of paper. Okay, this job is going to print in 46 papers, and that means it's not going to be relevant, it's not going to be useful because the whole heading is not even captured, so it won't make sense. So if you are working for someone and then you are asked to print and you print this kind of job, you are going to get a query. Now, before I go further into this printing, I want to encourage you, if you have not subscribed to this channel, that you go ahead and click the subscription button now and turn on your notification bell so you can be notified when I upload another lesson. Now, when we click on Ctrl P or you go to File and then click on Print, we have the screen that is showing before us right here. Now, let's look at this quickly. This is printer column. This printer column is showing to us that, okay, your printer that you have on your screen, that you select the printer. So it depends on the printer that you have. So if you have a printer that is already installed on your screen, so from here, then you click on this and then you can pick up your printer from here. If you have a printer already, you click here. On this system right now, I have HP LaserJet printer, and then there are other printers as well. So depending on the printer that you have, so what you need to do is to click the arrow button in front of the printer and then you select your printer. Apart from printing directly to printer, which is hard copy, you may also want to print as PDF. So in that case, if you click on this arrow button, you might likely have Adobe PDF installed by the Windows operating system on your PC. And if you are using Mac, so just go ahead and check if you have that. So you can also print to PDF. Maybe you want to send this document by email to somebody and you don't want to send it in form of Excel so they will not tamper with the content. You may want to convert it to PDF before sending it. One of the ways you can convert to PDF is to come over to print and print to PDF. So this time around, it's going to print a soft copy for you and it will be in PDF. But if you select any of the other printer that you have, that means you are going to have the hard copy of your job. Okay, talking about printing to PDF, you might also go to Save As, and then from the drop down, you select PDF if you have actually arranged your job and it's good for printing before you do that. Now, if I go ahead and print this as we have on the screen, let's assume that I want to print to PDF or I even want to print to my printer. How many pages of document? This is 46 pages of document. Why is it so much? I have 10 columns and then this job is more than 100 rows. So we have 46 pages. And if you look at the screen, the left side of my screen, as you can see here, okay, now this is the preview of the job that you are printing out. The job that you type, you are going to have the preview on the right side of the screen. Now, from this preview, remember that we have our column up to column J, 10 column. But what I have here right now, the preview is column A, column B, column C, column D, and column E. What happened to the other column? The other columns actually are splitted into another page on my document. So if you go through and check the pages, you are going to see that the other column is coming out in another page. So if I print the page one, I'm not going to have all the columns heading. My job heading will not be showing in a single page. That is a big issue. If you print like this job is useless because there is no way I will have on page one, I have business unit, and the next column that will make this document to make sense is appearing in another column entirely. Let's check through and see where that column is. So this is one of, okay, I could see in on page 22, I think. Okay, look at it there, page 24. So page 1, page 24, this is going to be a waste of paper. The document will make no sense at all if you go ahead and print like this, because the other columns now come over at page 24. So when you have a lot of columns, more than one or two columns to print, you need to format your job to make all the columns heading to come out in a single page. Okay, the rows can split into multiple pages. There is no problem about that. But all the heading should come out in a single page, in a single heading, on a single paper. So that is what we are going to be doing. How do you do that and to make that happen? Now, before we go into that, let's look at another thing under setting, because we're going to be doing that under settings. Under setting, we have options. You can print your entire workbook. Remember what workbook is all about. Workbook is your file. Now, if you don't understand what workbook is all about, maybe you have not watched my previous lessons in Microsoft Excel, I will encourage you to check the description section on this video. You are going to see the previous lessons I've done in Microsoft Excel where I've discussed in detail what the workbook, worksheet, and Excel is all about. In fact, that is the first thing to know. You need to understand the you need to understand the definition of common terms in Microsoft Excel before you go further. Now, you can print an entire workbook from here. This is a setting. You can print an active sheet. Active sheet is the sheet that you are currently working on. That is an active sheet that you have put your content. That is an active sheet. You can print the entire workbook. The entire workbook has to do with all the sheets. The workbook is the file, the Excel file itself that you open. That is a workbook. And workbook consists of several worksheets as we have defined before. So you can print the workbook. That has to do with all the worksheets. Maybe in a sheet 1, you have a job, sheet 2, sheet 3, up to sheet 12. Let's assume that you have a January, you have a January invoice or January job that you have done in January, the sales record in January. You save it to sheet 1. You have the sales record for February in sheet 2, sheet 3, up to sheet 12. So sheet 1 to sheet 12 in your Microsoft Excel, which is your workbook, is what we refer to as a workbook. So the whole of the sheets together is a single workbook. So you might want to print everything at a go instead of printing sheet by sheet, which could take you more time to do. So you have that option under setting. So you can select to print an active sheet, print entire workbook, or print a selection. Now, you can print a selection. What is a selection? You can see what happened now. Currently, my cursor is on this particular cell, on this column EEID. Okay, this is cell. That is where my column, that's the cell that is selected. Okay, my cursor select this cell before we come over to this print layout here. So that's why you are seeing this one. When I change to print selection, so you might also want to go ahead. Let's go back and let me show you what I mean by that. Let's go back to the worksheet. So you can see it. Now, you can see from the worksheet that we are working on right now, this is the cell that is currently selected. That is A1. My cursor is on that particular A1. I have clicked on this A1. That is why it's a selected sheet. So you can print a selection as well. So if I click on this cell, for example, and I go to print, okay, currently I click on A3. You can see this A3 is selected. If I go to print, and then I choose print selection, that means it's only cell A3, which is manufacturing, that will come out. So when you have the under the setting on your printer, you can decide whether you want to print an active sheet, that is all the sheet that contain all your job, or you want to actually print a selection, or you want to print an entire workbook. What happens if I want to print just column A to column D from this job? All I need, and I want to print maybe A1 to D20. What you need to do is to select. So how do you go ahead right now and select just the cell that you need? Okay, all you need to do is I click the first column where your printing is going to start from, because you want to print a selection and you are not printing the entire worksheet. So you just want to print a part of your worksheet, which is the selection. So what you need to do now, press Control, okay, then press the Shift key, or you can drag over, press your cursor and highlight the area that you want to print. Right now, I've highlighted A1 to D20. So if I go to Control P, you can see this is what is going to come out. Why? Because under setting, I have selected print selection. If I want to print the entire active sheet that contain content, the sheet that I put text, okay, I'm going to select print active sheet under setting. If I want to print part of that sheet, not the entire sheet, not the entire active sheet, I can go ahead and select the area that I want to print, and I'm going to choose print selection. Now, in addition to that, if I want to hide maybe this column, I don't want it to come out from the printing, and I want to print the entire active sheet. I want to hide the business unit. I'm going to select the column, click on E, okay, to select the entire column, column E, and then the next thing I'm going to do, you right click on that column, and then I have the option to hide. You can see, so column D is hidden right now. If I go ahead and click Control P, you are not going to see, let's select active sheet, okay, active sheet, then show print preview. Right now, you are not going to see column D any longer. Remember, on column D is where we have the country, right? That has gone. Yes, so you are going to have column F, column D, you have last name, column F is gender. So from our print preview, you can see the last name, the gender. But the column in between the last name and gender, it is hidden. So you can print by hiding a column, and then if I want to bring the column back, just go back to the heading and then right click and go to unhide. So you have your column E, which is business units back. So you can hide column before you print, you can unhide column depending on what you want to do. One of the things to do further under here, you can also select the page. You want to print from page 1. This is 46 pages, but you are not going to do that when your printing is not looking normal yet. So remember, you can also come over and print portrait. Let's go ahead and change it to landscape, because and see whether we are going to have more of our heading, the column to show. I change it to landscape, better. Now we have it up to country, right? And then that's looking better, but that has not solved the problem. So we have the column for ID, full name, first name, last name, business unit, gender, ethnicity, and country showing. But we still have some columns that are not showing. What column are we having that is missing? City and exit date is still not showing. However, when you have a large columns of data to print, it is better to print in landscape orientation, because portrait will make your job to have a narrow heading, but you are going to have a lot of rows. But when you change it to landscape, you are going to have a wider columns but limited number of rows, which is better on a single page. So that is better because you want to capture the entire table heading. You want to capture the entire heading of your job without leaving anyone outside of the page. So that is why it's very important to know how to go further and do that. So The next thing to do now from here, in order to have all your heading to be captured, you go to repeat on all the pages that you want to print. We have the column heading in row number 1. So you come over to page layout on the menu bar. When you get to page layout, come straight to sheet options. On this sheet option, we have a lot of options there. We have the option for grid line. We have the option for heading. So click on this icon in order to pop out the additional option that we have under sheet options. So what we have is just 4 options that you can select from here, but you have more options under this particular pop out icon. So if I click on this pop out icon, you can see this is out right now. So you have the option for sheet. So print title, rows to repeat at the top. So we go ahead and click this arrow. Now, when we do that, the next thing you are going to do is to select what row. So go ahead and click on the row. I click on row number 1. So you can see row number 1 is selected, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on this. When I click on that, now I have rows to repeat at the top as row number 1. This row will be repeated on all my paper, the print page, for the other pages of the document. So let's do OK. And then let's go back to our print preview. Print preview. We have the row. Then let's look at what's happened in the second page. You can see now we have the ID, full name, first name being repeated at the top of each of the page of the document. At the top of each of the pages of the document, you have your row number 1 that contain the title, okay, for the row repeated on each of the sheet. So this is beautiful. So if I don't see page 1, I can actually know what each of the column represent in this document by the time you print it out. So that's another way to add to it. Sometimes you might also want to print the row number and the column heading. Remember, this column that we have ID is on column A. This is on column B, and then this is on column C. Sometimes you want all the columns to show on your job as well. Maybe you want column A to be here, column B, by the time you print the job out, you want all the column, not just the column name to show. I mean, not just the title that you have given to the column. Okay, you want the column name to also show at the top of your printout. In order to do that, go back to the page layout on your document. So that's what we are going to do right now. We go back to the page layout of the document. Under the page layout, then you come to sheet option as well. Under sheet options, you are going to click on, we have the grid line, then we have the heading. We click on print headings. Okay, when you click on print heading, this option, let's go back. You are going to see, you can see that now we have our column being indicated on each of the pages of the document. Then you have the row number as well. So you have that is also showing for you. Then also you can actually select your grid line to show in order for the grid line to show. You also come over here and then select the grid line. If you want the grid line to show, then you click on this, then you're going to have the grid line showing on your document. So, but I don't need the heading to show, so I'm going to go ahead and just uncheck this, and then I will leave the grid line to be selected. We have already selected the rows to repeat as row 1. Now, the last thing I want to show you before we actually complete this is if you go ahead again under your view, this is the first thing that you might also want to check, because currently we have that job as 27 pages, remember, but we have all the headings showing, and then it's even 28, not 27. So let's look at it across. What is in page 28? Does it make sense? Is it enough data that you want to retain there? So you go ahead now, you can see the page 28 is here. So you can adjust if you want, for example, this part of column, the row number, the height, the 2191, and then 156. Maybe you want them to be part of the last page. So you can adjust that as well. You can decide where should the first page end. For example, we have row number 1 from here. Maybe you want your first page to end at row number 30, which is employee ID 3343. Currently, what do we have on the document? We have it ending at, okay, let's go ahead and insert the option to page layout, and then we'll go to print heading, and then so that we can check the row. It's currently heading at row number 39. So maybe you want row number 40 to be included in the first page of the printing. How do you go about that? So what you need to do is to come over to the view. When you get to the view menu, come over to page break preview. Under the page break preview is where you are going to see how those pages have been broken down. Okay, the entire worksheet, the active sheet, are divided into several rows. This is how they are done. Under the page break, I can see that yes, the first page is on going to end on row 39. As you can see from here, this line is our page break line. That is the page break line in Microsoft Excel. This is what indicates where the first page is going to stop, and then the second page is going to stop from here. So what do you do at this stage right now? If you want the row number 40 to be included in the first page, you put your cursor on the grid line, okay, on the page break line, okay. If I put my cursor on the page break line, then you are going to have the option to actually drag it down to row 40. So that is how to adjust it. You can see when I put my cursor on the line, it turns to double arrow. Then I go ahead and drag it down a bit. So now I have up to row number 40 in page 1. However, when I did that, look at it, this line is still at the top. This is telling me that this is another page entirely. So you are going to drag it until you don't see that line any longer there. So in addition to that, remember that we hide a column at the top. The same way you hide a column, you can actually go ahead and hide the row as well. If you right click on the row number, and then you can go ahead and then you hide the row or unhide the row. So you can reset page break, you can insert page break. So that's actually how to adjust what job should come out in page 1, what should be in another page, and so on and so forth like that. Now, another thing you can do is that you might want to put an heading on top of the document. I mean, remember in Microsoft Word, you can do header and footer. So the next thing you are going to do under view, this is the way your document is normally, page break preview. You decide on what rows should be in the first page from the page break preview. You are going to see how Excel has actually divided the row. So you can adjust it. Maybe you want some content to come under page, maybe one page or the other. You can do that under page break preview. In addition to that, remember I said you're going to grab the graph line. You can come to page layout. Under the page layout, you are going to see more detail about the page layout. So this is header. This is header. On this header side, I may decide to just put maybe a title here, Flourish ICT Academy. For example, I put it on that page header. Now, if you look at the document, you check all the rest of the document, you are going to see the Flourish ICT Academy coming up on top of all the pages. You can see as an header. So that is exactly what you can do. You can also insert the page number. All you need to do is to go to the view, and when you get to the view, under the page layout, insert your page number worksheet. So that's how to actually manipulate your data before you print in Microsoft Excel. You decide whether you are printing a selection, you are printing an active sheet, you are printing the entire workbook. And before you send to printer at all, please ensure that you check the settings, that all your columns actually fit into a single page. So thank you for watching and taking your learning journey with Flourish ICT Academy. Now, if you want one-on-one or personal training, or you want to learn more, or you want your organization to be trained in any area of IT, check the description box on this video. You are going to see a link to my website. Go there and you are going to see a lot of other resources that will help you. And from there, you can actually reach out and contact me for any further training inquiry. Thank you for taking your learning journey with Flourish ICT Academy. See you in the next lesson.